Hello, internet. There was a bit of a delay then before it kind of came back to me. And hello, because we're multi-channel these days. Welcome to the Ghostlight Social. Live on Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, MySpace, Bebo, you name it. You know what the score is. This is the show where we get creative people together. We talk about everything. We give each other hope, and we dash our fears. I'm getting this intro sorted. I think it's feeling a bit more together. It's really not displaying it tonight, but you know.
Yeah, if I didn't know better, I'd have said you had a few drinks, but
yeah, on the alcohol-free.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's bring Lee in. Because it's currently just my face going out on MySpace.
My face on MySpace. So how are we doing, Mike?
All right, yeah. It's been a busy couple of days, to be honest, but it's been all right.
Good. YouTube's still pissing me off, but we're live on YouTube now. So again, but
don't tell them we've got another channel. The email said that we're not allowed another channel.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't read that bit. Don't tell me that bit. I didn't read that bit. Because there were very little information on what they did tell us.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see about that. So hopefully, the people have found the new channel now, and
Sarah's just popped into the chat.
Oh, good. Hello, Sarah. How you doing? Glad you found us. So I haven't got anything to share because, quite frankly, I've just been loading up old episodes of the show or the highlights to the new channel.
Yeah.
Which is yeah.
I was going to say, are you just putting the highlights on? Or are you going to put the full episodes on as well?
Are you having a laugh?
I was just asking.
Are you having a laugh?
I thought you might do highlights first and then do like a separate playlist of all the.
Yeah, I'll do that eventually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could do it.
Well, I mean, you could do.
Yeah.
But yeah. They're an hour and a half long, most of them, and it takes forever to upload. So I'm doing the highlights first, and then we'll see what happens.
All right.
So most of the highlight shows are up there now. Just got a few left to do. And
obviously, so now you've got 4 destinations where you can like and subscribe to us. So you've got Twitch, you've got YouTube, you've got Periscope, which is on at Totally Reels. Don't forget that we also have the podcast. So that is on iTunes, soon to be on Spotify. So don't forget. Go on there, subscribe, give us a 5-star review, like and subscribe all those other channels, and hopefully we can carry on doing this, and eventually Nintendo will sponsor us, and I'll get a Switch.
You could do. Who does Bebo? Would it be like Bubblegum or something? I don't know. Yeah.
It might be like one of those like 5-year-old kids on YouTube who've got their own toy lines and earned like £26 million last year.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Good luck to them.
Yeah.
Right, okie dokie. Let's. Should we just get our guests in and get on with it, or what?
Yeah.
Okay. Very lucky to have with us Mr. Dermot Daly and Mr. Jack Brindle. How are we doing, guys?
Hello, captains.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening to both of you. Thanks for joining us. Very much appreciated. Dermot, how's lockdown been?
I mean, it's been liquid, mate. And it's been bloody long. Like, when is it over?
Well, Rachel said to me today, we're walking the dog this morning. Rachel said, do you now just feel like lockdown's over, but we just can't go anywhere? And I said, no, because I haven't got any work. I can't go to work. So because she's a teacher, she's going to work. So she just feels like it's, sort of back to normal, but without being able to do anything.
Yeah.
I was like, well, no.
Which is not normal then, right?
It's definitely not normal. Well, I'm saying it's not normal. It's probably quite normal for us.
All work and no play.
Yeah. Jack, how's it been?
Been good. Been long. I mean, for me, it was just I was so busy, working a few jobs, and then everything gets cut. You can't do anything. You've just got to sit all day on your ass and watch Netflix.
And Pornhub.
No, never.
No.
That's at night anyway. So.
Right. All right. So the first thing that's on my mind, because you mentioned it earlier, Jack, was it's killing you not being able to get to a barber, isn't it?
It is killing me. I mean, look at me hair. Look, I don't know what's going on. I'm used to like a fade and everything like that.
I've never ever seen you without a fade.
I don't know what's going on. I think it's
good.
all right.
It's great. It's
Yeah.
great.
I think one thing that I've realised is like I've got some headshots like booked for a few months, and when I get them, I think I'm going to leave it like a bit more natural because I think I don't know. I think you don't need it bald on the sides, do you?
No, it's a good look.
I don't have much choice. But
I won't be long behind. Like this is a fringe.
what about you, Dermot? Is there not been able to get to the barbers killing you?
Mate, seriously, I'm auditioning for Chewbacca when it comes back. Wait, do you know what? Right, I kind of seeing humans is the thing that's really doing my nut in, or not seeing them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that's really got me. The whole barber thing is like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and the notion of let's go down the pub. Well, I wasn't going down the pub every night anyway, so it's not, you know, not a massive curtailment.
No.
But yeah, I just seeing humans.
Yeah.
Just
No. I know, I'm with you. I say most weeks that if we weren't doing this, I don't know what I'd do, because it's my connection to outside of what we call the Methley bubble. You know, the little place that I live, and we walk around with the dog, and I see lots of people and say hello, but that's sort of it. I don't see anyone else.
Yeah.
I was saying tonight, like literally the first time I've had to trim the bum fluff off side of my cheeks. And the side, it was like I was going out. I was,
Had tunes on and bit of aftershave and.
Do you know what? That's really weird, because this morning is the first time that I've put some aftershave on for months. I don't know what.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, it was just I thought, bit of Sauvage, you know,
bit of DR, you know,
just to set the day off. And who did I do it for? Well, I did it for my wife, I suppose. She might have been grateful. I don't think she noticed.
and the dog.
And the dog really couldn't give a shit as long as he's got food and he's been taken for a walk. So it's just for me, and that's okay. I think it's okay to do it for me. Good. Okay. Look, let's get on with some questions. What, Dermot? Have you got a song for our playlist?
Can I have two?
Yeah, I suppose so, because we haven't got a playlist at the moment, so I need to fill it up.
Right.
Yeah, go for it.
Would go for "It's the End of the World as We Know It" by REM.
Nice.
Solid
I think
choice.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It's also a song that I remember dancing to when I was a lot younger, at the end of Very Messy Nights. So that goes in. And Skepta, Shut Down, again, for obvious reason.
Shut down.
Yeah, and it's also a banger. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't had that actually yet.
Have you not?
No, I'm really surprised. Great song as well.
I mean, there's some good tracks on there on the playlist, but there's some weird ones as well. There's been some odd choices.
There is some strange ones, yeah. Yeah, good. They don't need any explanation. Very nice. Very good indeed. In fact, they will be the first two that go on the new playlist.
Yeah.
And as I remember the other ones, they'll go on. In fact, Sarah, if you're watching, you used to listen to that quite a bit. Just any that you remember being on there, just let me know and I'll set the new one up. Brilliant. Thank you, Dermot. Jack, what you got for us?
Well, I had one, but I'm just going to throw in a bit of spice that I heard today on the radio. So you know the song, is it like Dancing in the Moonlight?
Oh, yeah.
So I've heard it. I was driving, I was going to pick up last today from work, and it just came on, a remix of it. And it was like this real chill vibe. A remix. It literally, the first time I've heard it today. And I was just listening, and they were saying things like, it's for we can't get on holiday, but this is a bit of a holiday vibe. And I whacked it straight up, and I thought, yeah. And it's the most kind of summer holiday vibe I've felt for a long time. It's like, I think it's Jubel, Jubel, Dancing in the Moonlight remix.
Bel, Jubel.
But then
I'll check that out. What was that? What were you listening to that on? What station?
It would just get a capital.
Yeah. Yeah.
A classic, you know.
You're younger than me, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it want BBC Radio 2.
How dare you?
Oh,
How
But
dare you?
BBC Radio 2 on the way home from a late night gig is the best thing in the world. Hello, you're coming live from Radio 2. But the first, Lean on Me, Bill Withers.
Yeah.
Classic.
Oh, yeah. Lean on me.
Yeah,
Bill Withers. He died quite recently, didn't he?
yeah,
A few months ago.
yeah.
Time is relative at the minute, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. Not a clue. I only know Yeah. I only know it's a Monday or a Wednesday because I've got a show to do.
Yeah.
Not a clue. Lean on Me, Bill Withers, Dancing in the
Yeah.
Moonlight remix. I'll be looking at that.
Remix.
Good stuff. Any particular reason Lean on Me?
It came on Magic Soul. This were a few weeks ago, and I don't know why I didn't even have it in like any like solo, any playlist that I might sing or anything. And it came on, and it went boom, 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 and I was just like, yeah. And every lyric from the start, I was just like, this is literally it. And then I think a few days later, everything kicked off, in America. So
yeah,
it kind of all just fell into places. This is like a song. I want to sing this song one day and things like that,
Fair enough. Yeah. No, really good. I am really surprised you don't sing it because
I know.
you must sing all the others.
Well, it's not a Motown song, and then I've done a couple of solo shows, and it's just not gone in there. I've sang "Ain't No Sunshine."
Yeah,
I sang that at Christmas Eve, but yeah, that didn't go in. But it'll get added.
Whee.
it'll get added.
Dancing in the Moonlight, not.
Why not Dancing in the Moonlight?
Well, I mean, it can. I don't know. It might be a bit out of place on a soul, but we'll see.
Jenny's just popped into the chat to say hello.
Hi, Jenny.
Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Yeah,
Jenny J.
Yeah.
Jenny J.
Hi, Jen. That's my boss tributing.
Right.
Yeah, fill in the blanks.
Yeah. Good stuff. Very good. Yes, those four will start off our new improved playlist. Although I think the next song will be the Pina Colada song, which was one of the weird ones that somebody put in. So staying with you, Jack, most coronavirus thing you've done?
Binge Netflix. It has to be. It really is.
What, like, have you totally gone to town? Because I just can't get into it.
No. What I've started to do is I'm not far into it and watching different saves, on the most popular and things like that and trying things out. But I'm Googling best shows on Netflix, going to Rotten Tomatoes, going to IMDb and just working out which one's worthy of me to
Your
start.
next watch.
Yeah. I
Are
think
you
I've just
triangulating your watching?
that's keeping me busy. That's literally it.
Wow.
So I've literally I watched it at the start of lockdown actually, but Ozark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all three seasons. Season 3 came on, and I thought, yeah, and just the first episode. If that's a pilot? What a pilot that is!
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Really good, isn't it? Really good.
And I'm a couple of episodes into Mindhunter.
Is that any good?
Well, 2 episodes in, yeah. But I think one of the characters in it, Ed something, he was a murderer in America, and he won an Emmy, the guy who plays him, for that guest role. And it was just, honestly, I was just watching, he's so good. He's like this big 6-foot guy, weighs whatever. I don't know if anyone else has seen it. But yeah.
I watched the first episode of it. Somebody gave me a recommendation, and I do this all the time when I watch the first episode, which is primarily there to set up the world and to give you like all those kind of vital bits of information. So I should expect that in places it's going to be dull as fuck. But I can never get myself past. I always watch the first episode and go, nah. And then, I come back to stuff like Breaking Bad. I watched the first episode of that and thought, nah, I don't understand what's really good. And I was maybe 2-3 seasons behind. Pursued it and was just like, it's the best thing on earth. So I need to do that. But Mindhunter is just one of those shows where I've yet to come back round to.
Well, I'm only 2 episodes in, so
I'll tell you what first episode isn't a pile of shit. Gangs of London.
What? Yeah.
Have you watched Gangs of London?
I'm on episode 6 as of last night.
Right. I think you're about where I am then, because I think that is. I watched the first episode. The first one's a feature length, isn't it? That one, oh my god! I was just like, oh, I am hooked to this. They are fantastic. Everyone in it is superb.
Yeah. I don't know camera work like you guys, but that, like the way it's shot, the fight scenes, the cameras dropping,
I've not watched it, but it feels like the little bits I've seen, it feels like it's borrowing quite a lot from kind of martial arts cinema.
Yeah.
And there's lots of those kind of like Sammo Hung, like one of their best kind of martial arts directors. It feels very similar to something like he might have done.
Yeah, it's for that first episode is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's a standalone film, and it's it's great. Okay, my problem with Netflix is what you started talking about. My problem with Netflix is you go on there and you need some sort of filter to tell you where the shit is, because it's everywhere. You know what I mean? You put something on and you're watching it for 10 minutes and you go, this is garbage. It's like the worst garbage I've ever seen, and you've just wasted 20 minutes of your life.
I mean, lockdown wise, the thing is with me, I'll waste like 2-3 hours on something that's just absolute shocking, and then I'll just won't go back to it, and then I'll just see down the line, continue watching, and it's just there, and I'll think, no, and it'll just keep sitting there.
Yeah, no good. Okay, Netflix, fair enough. Dermot, what have you been? What's the most coronavirus thing?
Mate, I bought a mask and I wore it. Like it went over my head.
Did you just buy one of those white theatre masks? You know the.
You know what? I've got a half mask upstairs. You know, the ones that come down to here.
Yeah.
And I was half tempted because the amount of people you see wearing masks, and it's like it's over your mouth but not over your nose. Well, what's the point, dude? Yeah. You know what I mean? I might as well just go with the Phantom of the Opera nonsense.
Yeah.
Freak the living crap out of people. No, buying a mask and wearing it was a bit weird.
Still wearing it?
Well, I'm wearing it. Not now. I'm wearing it whenever we pop out. If I'm going to shops and that, if I'm going indoors, I'm wearing it indoors. This nonsense about wearing it outside. Nah, it's too hot, man. It's too hot. I'm not saving anyone's life. There's no one coughing on me, and if you are, I'll punch you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, in a shop, that's cool, but outside, just you cough over there, kid. It's fine. Yeah. Shopping as well. Shopping's really done my head in. Just in that level of, you know, that thing where it used to be the thing, like if you finish a gig or on your way to a gig or you've got an afternoon or something, you go, I'll just get a sandwich, or I'll just get a bottle of water or something. And now you think, I'll just get a bottle of water. And you walk up to the shop or you drive around to the shop and you look at the queue and you think, nah.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah. I'll starve, mate. It's fine. I'll save it up.
That is one of the problems. One of the problems that I've found recently is that there no longer seems to be any queues outside smaller shops. And so you just sort of, you now sort of approach the door and sort of have a look in and think, is there anybody?
A little push, like with the elbow, just to see.
Yes, just to have a look who's in there. But we did it the other day. I can't remember. We're probably going to B&Q because I spend my frigging life in B&Q at the minute. But we were going somewhere. Oh, should we just pop in and get some, I don't know, chicken or something? I can't remember. And then as we were driving up to the supermarket, we saw the queue and the queue. Oh yeah. No, we're not popping into anywhere to grab anything. Yeah, queues.
It's a bit like the old days of internet, not now, but the old days of internet ordering. I used to be on the premise of I wouldn't just buy one thing from Amazon. I'd buy like 5 or 6. So I'd save it up and go, right, I'll order it all in one fell swoop. Now, who gives a shit? You know, I want a roll of toilet roll or something. I'll just order one in. It's fine. Who cares about the environment? Do you know what I mean? Just keep driving, keep knocking on the door. Remind me that you were like, no. But like shops are turning into that, where it is that level of, I'm not going to buy a can of Coke. I'm going to buy a crate of it because I need to make sure it's in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I actually did that yesterday. I bought a pack of 30 cans of Diet Coke.
Good work.
I've never done that in my life. Never. Never.
It's changed.
Yeah.
It's exactly, you've reached that point now. That is the point. The point where you kind of turn from Radio 1 to Radio 2, and that's it.
You're joking. I passed that. Radio 2's a bit edgy for me these days.
You're not on Radio 3 yet, are you?
No, not Radio 3. Radio 4 quite a lot, but no, I'm not
Just
not on
classic
Radio.
FM.
Well, there's that point where you pass a certain point in your life where you go, I'm just going to buy crates of stuff now. I'm going to go to Macro and buy crates of stuff. Because, let's just get loads of washing powder because it doesn't go off. And then you go off the garage, and then you realise there's a leak in the garage. So 40 quid's worth of washing powder is just a big lump.
Did anyone have like the rush at the start of lockdown? Like when there was shops are so busy, there's nothing on shelves. Did anyone buy like, that'll last forever?
Jack, how many toilet rolls did you have at the peak of lockdown?
None.
Come on, how many?
So I'll tell you this. So I'm in Aldi. It's all starting to kick off. And I was at my mum's then, and we had a few toilet rolls, but I needed to get a pack. Anyway, it was the last 18 pack. So I went to the till.
Have you ever bought an 18 pack before?
Never in my life. And to be honest with you, I never really did the shopping. So I've got this 18 pack. It's there, and I'm just at the till, and I was just getting people looking at me. This is when toilet roll were just kicking off.
Oh.
So I even said out loud. I literally went, don't worry, guys. There's none at home. And this woman started laughing next to me and all this, and then I went, she had like a lot of tins, but it would to be if she only had a few of each. And I went, you got tins there as well, love. And she just it's mad this. I don't know why it's all overrated. And from the start of all this, I kind of were a person who were like, this is a serious thing. This is my mate was on the tour of China, so he was dancing on a cruise ship. And so he was FaceTiming me, and it was just starting to kick off. Then the cruise ship got cancelled, and I actually drove down and picked him up from London. And so that was about six weeks before anything in the UK. So I were already a bit, but I wasn't buying 32 toilet rolls or anything like that. I want that severe.
What was the deal with that though? Why did toilet roll become the thing?
We've had some theories. The best theory, and I think it was from Martin Gibbons. I can't remember who it was from. I think it might have been Martin, who said his theory was that somebody high up at Andrex had just sort of leaked something. You know what I mean? Just going, there's going to be a shortage. There's going to be a shortage, and so everybody just went ballistic buying toilet rolls.
It makes no sense.
Oh,
they put the prices up as well.
Yeah.
Did anyone notice that?
Yeah.
It was small though, wasn't it? It was only like 50p or something like that. It was tiny amounts on everything.
So
yeah. Well, my parents bought from Amazon or eBay or something. I can't remember where it was from.
Macro.
No, it wasn't from Macro. It was they bought this pack of toilet rolls when it all kicked off because they self-isolated. So I'll get this pack of toilet rolls and like 36 toilet rolls or something. And it wasn't 36. It was like 12. And it cost something like 17 quid.
Get out.
No, and when they arrived, they were tiny. Toilet rolls.
Why? What?
What were they made of gold?
It just totally. And I said, "What on earth? Why have you done that?" Well, we didn't have any, and we just, we thought we needed to get some. It's like, so when they came, they were like this. Anyway, so that's that toilet roll story. Did you go mental for the toilet roll, Dermot?
Nope.
Fair enough.
No, I tell you why, and I'll tell you for why. We about 2 or 3 weeks before lockdown happened. No, before it became clear it was going to happen, because that's when it started dying, wasn't it? It's about a week or so before. But about 2 or 3 weeks before that, I was shopping and we'd genuinely run out of bog roll. So I've gone to Tesco and they've had a deal on, I think it was 24 bog roll for like $8.50 or something stupid.
Wow.
So me being, the cheap git that I am, when, do you know what, say $8.50, that'll be all right. And then it all kicked off, and every day I came home and went, still got 22 rolls.
Smug mode.
I was genuinely at the point of thinking, if this continues, right, I'm going to work out how many I need for the next 6 weeks and just sell the rest off at 50%.
17 quid to cut down.
Profiteering.
Thinking, mate, thinking.
You didn't do that though, did you?
No, I did not.
Oh dear me. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's okay. But saying that, going back to what you're saying about washing powder and buying in bulk. See, I've never really bought in bulk, but what I've found myself doing is sort of looking at the price of things and how much, but not just the price. You know, where it says like per item or cost per litre.
Oh, yeah.
So then you start comparing them. It's like, well, hang on. If I buy that, I know that's 12 quid and that's 7. But if I buy that one, that's £1.02 per litre. If I buy the other one, it's £1.09 per litre. So I'm buying the big one because it makes more sense.
The best one you want to do, right? And this goes back to your creative Coke. I started buying crates of Pepsi Max, and I blame Cash Arshad for that because he got me into. He was my dealer for a bit, right? It got me like some Pepsi Max on a gig, and I've not stopped. But there was this like shopping trips at the minute, and you go in. I'm kind of genuinely thinking about what I'm buying now because we're shopping every fortnight. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like a trolley full. It's like Christmas every time I come back. And you've got to check them out because a crate of this is absolutely true. A crate of 24 Pepsi Max was £9, and they had a special offer on the 12 packs. And they were, I think it was $3.50 or $3.70 or something. So this is me, right? I've put the crate in because I've just thought, crate, done. I've got halfway around the shop. You know, it's not official in shops, but it's almost a one-way system. You know, once you pass the vegetables, you ain't going back. So I've got on the next aisle, and I've looked at it, I thought, I'm going to go back. Took it out, 2 stacks of 12 in, got to the checkout. And she's looked at me, she's gone, why have you done that? We sell, the full things. I'm like, bring them through, sweetheart, and have a look. She went, oh, you saved yourself about £2 there. I says, exactly. Now, shh, carry on. Oh, here, mate.
Absolutely. You've got to look at them things. Well, interestingly, the main reason that I bought 30 cans of Diet Coke was we were picking up 2... I'm drinking quite a lot of rum at the moment, so I've been buying a lot of Diet Coke. And so I picked up 2 2-litre bottles of Diet Coke because it's always cheaper to do that. It's like 2 for whatever it is. Yeah. But then I looked at the price per litre, and then I saw the box of cans, and the price per litre was way lower on the box of cans. Lower.
Which makes no sense because there's more metal and there's more plastic and there's more packaging and all that sort of jazz. But it also means that when you crack open a can, that's that done. You're not cracking open a bottle and it goes flat.
Well, that's true, but there is the problem in our house that when the bottle, you do crack the bottle open with the kids and everything, the bottle's gone.
Do you
so
think
at least
it tastes different?
Do I think it tastes different?
Bottles to cans.
Yeah, I think it probably does. But that'll be all the aluminium in it.
Yeah, I just think you pop the can and you just have that first. It's different.
Satisfying.
It's different.
I think it's a different satisfying thing. Like a bottle feels like it could be warm, and you're at a kid's party and you've got to drink out of them little shitty plastic cups. Whereas a can just feels it's all yours.
It's all yours.
Yeah.
That's it.
And there's a little and it's like, oh, this is nice, and it stays colder as well, and
it gets recycled anyway.
Lads, what now? What has happened? What has happened?
Life has gone as we know it.
There's different things that are priorities now.
Yeah, cans of Coke and toilet roll.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to make a career off back of this.
All right, thinking about work, thinking about jobs, thinking about things. What Dermot? What was the last thing you said to an audience, or produced to an audience, or?
So the last thing I said, find the quote. Or popular, long-standing free community festivals such as South London's Lambeth Country Show. I had to retake that loads of times. Suddenly have a heavy security presence, prompting outrage and boycotts. That was the last thing I did.
Okay, what was that? What was that for?
That was for a Guardian long read podcast.
Okay.
which I did this week, a couple of days ago. I don't know, but that was the last thing I did. That was a retake of the big, long 12-page piece that I did.
Look at him showing off with his work, with his lockdown work.
I know.
Mate, seriously, I'm getting whatever the hell I can. There's literally that point where you go, so theatres ain't going to be open for a while. We know that. TV is going to go to the names. Right, what can I do?
Anything.
What can I do? And I've had enough of doing Zoom things.
Yeah.
Like square eyes. But yeah, so that was a couple of podcasts I did with that. They go out next week, some point.
Nice.
So if you're into
the Guardian podcast.
Guardian podcast, yeah. So if you're into the long read, that goes out on Monday. And then there's another football podcast that I did before lockdown, which comes out on Wednesday.
Nice.
So, that's keeping me busy-ish.
What was the football podcast about? For football, obviously, but
The one... Don't talk about football tonight. The one... Shh.
You got a point, didn't you?
Mate, it's a point. It's not...
You shouldn't have had that.
I thought we were friends, mate. It's just... Nah. Yeah, 1 point, man. We're still in the relegation zone. We're still getting down. I should say, for people who don't know, I am a Villa fan for my sins. You can never accuse me of being a glory hunter because I'm not old enough to have been there when we were glorious back in the early 18th century. But then again, it could be worse. Could be a Leeds fan.
Yeah, but there we go.
We're waiting. Well, we've got glory.
It could be even worse than that. You could be a West Ham fan.
Hey, now there's no need. Don't drag me into this.
West Ham nicked their kit from us. But anyway, we'll crack on.
That's actually true as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually true.
Yeah, it's actually true. We played West Ham when they first started, when they were Thames Ironworks, and when they first formed as West Ham, used to play in all white. Then we played a friendly with Villa and nicked their kit.
Really?
Yeah.
Literally
nicked their kit.
They tumbled back to the Midlands in their boxers.
Yeah, they thought they'd swapping of shirts. That's what it meant.
Was it not something to do with churches? Like, it was kind of like a church association or something like that, and West Ham got the previous season's kit.
Yeah, I think that's because we've never had any money, so we'll just take whatever. But I think the first season, like I said, we dressed in all white, and then somehow I think it is a case of we got either donated or there was a friendly and we stole them. I've heard a couple of versions of the story, but essentially the facts are we nicked it off Villa.
There's a bit of random football trivia for you.
There you go.
Absolutely. You live and learn.
Yeah.
Anyway, where were we?
Podcast.
Yeah, so the first one, the one that's out on Wednesday is a story about Luton Town, a good few years ago, decided who their new manager was going to be via a phone poll. So essentially, and I don't remember this happening because
It's quite recent.
yeah, well, it's after it was when Will Young and Gareth Gates won or were on X Factor or Pop Idol or whatever it's called.
That could be 6 years ago or 28 years ago.
It's post 2000, right?
Yeah, it's like 2000, 2001, something like that.
Right, so about 20 years ago, right? But at the point where people realised, we can have a premium rate phone number and people will phone in and we can make money off this. So whoever owned Luton Town decided he was going to have Manager Idol. And he put up this is true. This is absolutely true.
I thought you were talking fiction at the start.
No, this is absolutely true. He put up 3 or 4 candidates and there were big names in there. And he said to the fans, phone these. If you think it should be this person, phone this number.
0909099.
And then, but then what happened is it got to a point where 2 of the 3 or 3 of the 4 managers went, I'm not having this, don't want it. Right? And the owner kind of went, well, I want him to have it. So they fixed the phone results. So the phone poll came in, but it was only worth 50% of the overall thing. And the other 50% came from stakeholders, which was essentially him. So he had the casting vote, and funnily enough, the person that he wanted to win won it by like 20 votes in the last hour.
Oh God.
It genuinely, it's one of those stories where, because I got it, and it's proper journalism. And you read it and you think, this is nonsense. And then I spoke to the journalist, and he showed me all of his sources, and it was like, oh God.
Wow.
And it's all there, like the facts and the interviews and stuff are all still on YouTube and all that sort of jazz. It's a brilliant story.
I'm just writing this down. I'm going to be searching that out. Probably not on YouTube though.
Not YouTube, no. Forgotten Stories of Football. Forgotten Stories of Football. It's a podcast series. Started a couple of weeks ago, and there's loads of amazing stories in there. Like stuff, obviously stuff that I read, I voiced, I get, but I've been listening to them, and they're just brilliant. Like there's one that came out last week and the week before, which was about a Jewish referee who had to fight Nazis and anti-Semites and all that sort of stuff while still being absolutely bang on with his job.
Wow.
It's just brilliant story. It's a story about kind of Hitler trying to fix the football at the Olympics.
Yeah.
But there's just some really beautiful stories in there of kind of like football's bonkers.
Yeah. So did you start this podcast, or is this someone you know that?
So this is The Guardian. The Guardian kind of obviously employ journalists to write stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of these stories are stories that have been released years ago, and they're wanting to turn them into podcasts because we're listening to more podcasts as we drive to work. But we're listening to more podcasts, and from my point of view, like from a prosaic point of view, it's work.
Yeah.
But it's actually, I like football.
Yeah. It's
Do you know
great.
what I mean? So I get paid to read stuff that I find interesting.
Yeah.
It's a double win.
It's more than a double win. It's amazing.
So yeah,
I'll definitely check that out. So it's been running there's a few already done then, is there?
a few already out from obviously other readers. Yeah, I think there's 4 or 5 out already. Well, another one came out today, and I don't know what it is because I've not listened to it yet because I've not driven to work.
You've been sat on your ass all day.
3 months. I might stick it on next time I go to the shops. Just go the long way round.
Yeah.
To drive.
Yeah. Well, I tend to listen to them when I'm walking the dog. So,
Yeah, get involved.
I've just had a text message, Mike.
Yeah.
From my mother.
Is she listening live? I have dropped an F-bomb earlier on. I am very sorry.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
My mum gets quite upset when Michael swears.
All right, that's fine. Sorry, Lee's mum.
Sorry.
Bollocks to it.
That wasn't me.
Good stuff.
I did think actually when I dropped the F-bomb, I thought, I wonder. I did wonder.
At least she's watching.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, have I swore? I don't think I have.
I think you're all right. It's just me who gets in bother.
It's only him that gets done.
All right,
Yeah.
good.
I can't remember what question that was. It was the last thing you said to him. Yeah. And and I was going to say the last thing you produced or helped produce was that the short film that you sent me.
Yeah. So
which I didn't send to Mike. I'm so sorry.
Again.
Watch it, man. It's a beauty. I was asked by a good friend of mine, Tess Farley, over in Manchester, if I would help her make a film. So she got a Greater Manchester Cultural Authority, I think it is, commission. They were giving out COVID commissions, small pots of money to make stuff that goes onto a website, which kind of collates the COVID experience in Manchester. Now, I'm not in Manchester, I'm in Leeds. But I went to uni in Manchester. Manchester's like second home to me anyway. And I've known Tess for years. She was assistant director when I played Othello when I was young, when I could remember stuff. Remember all of the lines. Anyway, so she phoned and said, do you want to get involved? Do you want to help me to produce this thing? We've got these amazing people on board. I don't quite know what I'm going to do, but I want to kind of do a story that takes us around Manchester. Mm. So we had a couple of days of thinking, well, we can't go. I can't get our camera person out and go and film stuff because that's not possible. This was at the height of lockdown. This was the you cannot leave unless you are literally saving people's lives sort of lockdown.
Or Dominic Cummings.
He was saving people's lives, mate, you know,
Yeah,
and my parental instinct is not as strong as his.
Your eyesight's better than his, though, I think.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's not now. No, I'll be all right. Where are you? Yeah, so we decided, we worked on this idea of a journey through Manchester. She's really inspired by French New Wave films, which is great because I quite like them as well. And we chanced upon, I threw her a copy of Le Jeté by Chris Marker, which, if you don't know it, is the film that 12 Monkeys was based on. So it's all about time travel and cleverness. Putting the theme to one side, the interesting thing about that film, the reason why that film's always interested me, is that it is half an hour. It's a short film, half an hour, 35 minutes, something like that. And with the exception of 2 short sequences, everything is still photography. And the thinking was, if we're on lockdown but we're allowed a Boris walk every day, if your Boris walk, Tess, in Manchester takes you around the places that you want to tell the story of, take your camera, get some pictures. So she farmed that out. She did some. There was another photographer called Andy who was doing the same thing on his Boris walks. And we got something like 500 or 600 photographs of this journey through Manchester. And then we wrote the script. And we got this bloke called Ali Gadima, who has the most beautiful voice to do the voice for us, to be the character. And just taking us through Manchester. And we got so into it that we completely forgot why we were doing it. We completely forgot the heart, not the heart of it, but we forgot that it would have the effect that it does. We finished it. It's all in black and white with a couple of sequences that are in colour. Stylistic choice, again, harking back to Goddard and all that sort of stuff. But it went out live on United We Stream over in Manchester on Saturday night after Andy Burnham and the dude from Liverpool did their DJ battle, which was fun. Yeah, so it went out after that. It went out about 9:30 on Saturday night, and then obviously our website went live, and it went live on the COVID Commission's website in Manchester. So yeah, like, have a look at it, have a watch. Tess really wants to start a conversation in Manchester about how we're dealing with COVID and how we're dealing with, or how Manchester is dealing with its citizens and helping them out and kind of guiding them through and holding their hand, or you know. So she's wanting to, if you're in Manchester and you can watch it, please do, and then go to the website, which is, I think, we still believe in lovefilm.com or something like that. I'll send you the link if you want to put it up for us. And on that site, there is a place where you can kind of talk about your experiences and what you think the local authority can do. And I think it goes beyond COVID. You know, I think I've stopped using the term, but a lot of people are still using the term when this is over. And I think we need to realise that the fingers of this period of time are going to reach way through the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. You know, if you think about the generation of school kids who haven't got exams or haven't been to school or are starting late and all that sort of stuff, and we don't know how that's going to affect us all. So I think the lovely thing about the film is that it's a time capsule. It kind of holds that period of time, and it's really emotive. I mean, I watched it, and I would say that, but I watched it for the first time in a couple of weeks on Saturday when it went out, and it got me again. And I remembered why I agreed to it in the first place, because I thought it had that power. But yeah, if you're in Manchester, kind of think about how can the authorities in Manchester help you to get back on your feet and help Manchester become Manchester.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is really emotive, and I mean there's a couple of really lovely sequences in it, but there's the really lovely sequence, and I was going to ask you who'd written it, but when he's walking along and there's the guy walking behind him, and he's saying he's still there, and he's followed me around a corner, and of course he's not following him. He just wants to go find somewhere to eat his Monster Munch or whatever it is that he's bought, and it is beautiful, and it absolutely does capture a moment which in many respects doesn't necessarily have to be this moment. There is something quite timeless about it as well. I guess apart from the language and his delivery, which is very sort of northern modern, but it is beautiful, yeah.
No, I mean, I would love to take all of the credit for it, but it's Tess's baby. She kind of wrote the script. She spoke to a lot of people. I spoke to quite a few people, and we kind of fed a load of. So a lot of the things that I've spoken about in the film are real. They actually happened.
Yeah.
There was someone who thought he was being followed. There was a bloke who walked out and was almost run over by a cyclist. There was the kid who turned to his mother and said, "They're clapping for you, Mum." Do you know what I mean? There are those moments which are real, and they're peppered all the way through. And essentially what she did was she took that and weaved it through this journey around central Manchester out in Blandcoats, and it's glorious. It's really glorious.
And actually, although there are so many Manchester references in it, and so many of those photographs of the street art and all the rest of it, it actually could be anywhere as well. It could be any city.
And I think there are only a couple of mentions of Manchester in the whole piece.
Yeah.
Obviously,
talks about Manny, doesn't it? At the beginning, he says it a few times, going out in Manny, and
the title card tell us it's in Manchester at this point, but it's a northern town.
Yeah.
And I think the problems and the issues with COVID will be replicated not just across the north, but everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, we're going to feel it in the north more because we're here.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure that film will be applicable to someone in Ealing and Hounslow as much as it will be to someone in Glasgow.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's great. And Mike, I will send you the link. I'll do it almost immediately.
I want to say, because I really want to join in, because that sounds amazing. I love that. I mean,
literally just talking it up. I'm like, oh my god.
Lee knows what I'm like for stylistic choice of camera moves and all that kind of stuff, and he's just like, no, it's just a fucking medium, and I'm like, well, so that just sounds right on my street, man. That sounds great.
Good egg, nice one.
Yeah. I tell you what, listen, this could be an art show, couldn't it? You know what I mean? We're going up in the world, Mike.
It's kind of meant to be. That's the thing. We just talk about bloody bog roll too much.
Fair enough. Okay. Jack, not that I'm expecting you to follow that particularly, because you'll just do that your own unique way. What was the last thing you did to a live audience?
Last thing to a live audience, I was doing a movies tribute show. So it's things like Grease, Dirty Dancing, Mamma Mia, all things like that.
Excellent.
And the last thing I said is good night. But this was just before. This was when I'm there on the gig. I'm thinking, are we going to carry on this? What's going to happen? Is there going to be a lockdown? At that point, it had just been like NHS, all the washing things were up, and you started to take things even more seriously than you already do. And I was at a holiday park actually. And it was like a Pontins, and it was full of 60 to 80-year-olds. And I was at this current point, you'd heard little bits about COVID, and it was right, the elderly are affected heavily, and they're most at risk, and all these kind of things. And I just on the way down, I was just thinking, there's not going to be no one there. It's not going to happen. There's going to be no one there. It was packed. It was honestly packed. It was rammed, and you were just these. Bless them. These are the lovely kind of gigs because, it isn't like an office Christmas party and all the people don't want to be there. These are people that they're appreciating it. They're not up dancing all night. Because there's probably not going to be that active. They're all sat. They're all looking, and there were a couple who wanted to get pictures at the end. And it wasn't clear about what's what at this time. So obviously, I'm like, I was literally like, oh my god, I was, we were kind of standing away from people and everything. But yeah, so that was a great point because I didn't know where the path led. I didn't know there was going to be nothing for so long.
So was that a gig that you did solo, or was that it was
a group? Yeah, there was me and three other girls, Lauren, and.
Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren. All the Laurens. I think honestly, I think it was Lauren, and quite a new girl too. It was called Laura. Honestly,
Laura Lawrence. Fair enough. So, but because did you have a load of gigs booked in that just got cancelled, or how did that work? Yeah.
Well, it started off. I worked for a couple of companies, and you were hearing different things from each company. and then you were hearing stuff on the news. But I think it was more people. Everyone in the country was hearing the same thing on the news, and then everyone was getting the information at the same time. Like, as in, I'd look to my bosses for the kind of answers, but I don't think anyone had them till the line was drawn. Everything's shutting. But I think we were right. I was meant to be doing a gig in Liverpool on Sunday. I think it might have been Mother's Day, and didn't the lockdown come just before?
I think so. Was it the Friday before or
something like that? And there was talk. Are we going to go bringing those own mics? Then how are we going to do it with us lot? Are we going to be standing together? Well, obviously, yeah, because at that point it was, you won't get COVID and things like that. It wasn't as high stakes as it is now and should be.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about you the other day when I can't remember where it was that I was hearing. I was listening to something or watching something, and they were saying about the rule. As it stands at the moment with social distancing, the rule with singing is it 6 meters? You have to be somebody singing. You have to be at least 6 meters away from them.
I've heard this, but I'm going to be honest. I thought it was a joke.
No,
I saw it on Instagram or Facebook, and I thought.
And I think it was in a conversation really about panto. They were talking about pantomime and getting theatre, trying to get theatres open so that they can have some kind of Christmas. Because that that generally they survive on those shows, and they were saying, but for most small theatres that really rely on it, there's just no way they can do it with that rule. I mean, you'd have one person on stage, people who are playing instruments. I think it's even further. I think it's something like 20 meters. It was something ridiculous. So if you've got somebody playing a trumpet, obviously because they're literally blowing air out, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's just live music. Forget it. Singing on stage, certainly like the panto that I do, it's a tiny little auditorium. There's just if you there were 6 meters away, you would lose half the audience. I mean, there's just no way.
I think it's just going to be a mental, a scary time for all performers, and not knowing when, where, or what's going to kind of happen in the next few months. You just got to kind of take it as it comes and hope for the best.
And no one having the answers. I was asking Jenny about whether she'd heard any, obviously because she runs an entertainment company, but whether she'd had any of the holiday parks or anything like that getting in touch and just making inquiries at least. And she was saying no, not yet, because they're just
Well, I mean, since then I've got a few dates through from Jenny as well.
Oh, great.
But we're talking, there's a lot of 2021s, and I think what's kind of happened is the Christmas block, the busy period for like the tribute industry and things like that, it's still there. I don't think there's many cancellations because I think it's kind of fingers crossed, all the venues as well. It's their busiest time of year and everyone's kind of praying. But then, you've got, are people going to come? When it comes to the performers, everyone here in his own little world, when it comes to going back to work, what is it actually going to be like? The simple things, like you guys miking someone up. You know what I mean? When it comes to like that alone, it's like, so we'll just see.
Yeah, it's the hell of a lot of unknowns. Yeah.
It just reminded me of something though when you were talking about live instruments, and it's slightly related.
Right.
But did you know that trombones, I believe it is, have to have a perspex shield between them and the row in front in an orchestra anyway, because the speed of the air coming out of the end of it is faster than the speed of sound.
Get out.
Yeah.
What?
So if you ever look at especially...
That can't be true. That
No,
can't be
that
true.
can't be true.
because it wouldn't make a sound.
It would, because it's the speed of sound.
No, but if it okay,
faster.
But if it was faster than the speed of sound, then you'd just have booms every time they tried, right?
I know, it's weird. When I first heard it, I was a bit like, really? And then I kind of listened more. It was quite good. And it was on a reputable source. It was on the No Such Thing as a Fish podcast, which is the QI podcast. So their stuff is going to be well researched.
Well, I would question their validity.
But it's weird. I've seen photographs of orchestras and there are perspex shields between rows and stuff.
But I thought that was an acoustic thing as opposed to a...
I know it is when it comes to percussion stuff. So they have stuff around. So you always see drummers with those kind of stuff around. But I have seen them kind of between their other rows.
Oh, well,
Maybe they just don't like each other.
Yeah, maybe that. Which would be great. If
Stupid sound. Come off it.
you don't like somebody, just stick a thing around you.
Oh,
And anyway-
I'm going to Google it.
If that is true, right? What's the distance on that then, Lee?
God.
20.
2.5 miles.
Yeah, at least.
Some fella walking that road going, "What the chuff?"
Yeah. Trombones, they don't do anything anyway, do they? So we might just get rid of them.
Whee!
All right, look, time is cracking on. So I'll stay with you, Jack. Favourite moment?
Favorite moment, probably the first time on the professional set, and you're thinking, right, this is it. You see all these people that you kind of you want to get to somewhere near them, and you're just there. The camera, lighting, yeah, let's go for a rehearsal. Camera, and it kind of. I remember I finished. I had 3 days of filming, and it was just a walk on 3, and I just remember chatting to everyone and just thinking, this is reachable. I'm in that group. I can see my path, and however it comes, I'm excited for it. So yeah, has to just be that, walking on the set and just thinking, we're here.
I had a chat with a casting director saying a similar thing. She'd asked me about a particular experience because on a particular set, which I won't mention. But I said that I'd had a really nice time on that set. And she said, "Oh, that's interesting because I hear other things." And I was saying the same thing to you. I've been on quite a lot of sets, but that was the first set that I've been on where I sort of looked around me and went, "Wow, these guys are fucking on it. They are on it. This is it. So don't fuck this up." But there was something exciting about that. I wasn't, but yeah, absolutely saying. So I get that completely. You just look around you and you go, yeah, this is it. This is where I belong, and this is where I want to be, and I can see it now. Before I was just messing around. It felt like we were just messing around a little bit.
Yeah.
This feels like it. So I totally get that.
I think as well, just to add on to that, the passion around you. I think. Even when, say, you go to the acting classes and things like that, there is, sometimes you're in there and you do think the odd person isn't as invested as you. And then you're on there, you're around, everyone's so passionate. And it's kind of, when you watch things when you're younger about maybe an acting school or filming things, and you kind of think this is what it's going to feel like. And it kind of, I got that feeling,
Great. Really good answer. Nice one, Jack. Dermot?
Oh, God. I mean, I've been doing this for years. Like, I've been in the game for like 23, 24 years.
Do you want, that's meant, I'm 24.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so I've been around for a while. So, yeah, I mean, just by virtue of time, there were loads of things that I've done which have just blown my mind. I was saying about this question earlier, and I think, and it kind of riffs on what you've just said, in that idea of moments where you realise that things are possible.
Yeah.
I did a musical years ago, which took over my life and gave me a lot. And we came off stage, and there's an actor called Rudolph Walker, who you might or might not know. Rudy Walker now is I think he's still in EastEnders. So Patrick Truman in EastEnders.
Okay. Yeah.
Rudy Walker, growing up for me, was an absolute hero. He was one of the first black faces on TV.
Yeah.
He was in Love Thy Neighbour. He was in Empire Road. I mean, this was a dude that my mum spoke massively highly of. And we finished this gig, and he came upstairs, and it was weird. It was like this kind of weird kind of guard of honor, and we were all kind of stood there in the green room. It's like, Rudolph Walker's coming up. We're all like, bloody hell. So he's come up with this, and you'll like this, Lee. He's come up with this bottle of rum. And he said, don't line up, get yourselves a glass. So we've all got a glass. And he's come round and he's given us each a shot of rum. He's bought this bottle of rum, and it's a nice kind of 30-year-old. He spent money on it sort of thing.
Nice.
He gave us all this jar, and it wasn't press night. It was before press night. It was one of the previews. Giving us all this jar of rum, and each one of us in the cast, he came up to us and shook our hands and says, thank you for doing it. And I remember it was the first time that I can remember having the bravery to throw something back at someone that I really respected. And I said to him, no, you don't thank us. If you didn't do what you did back in the 70s and 60s, then we wouldn't be stood on this stage. We wouldn't be given this platform. You know, I wouldn't have realised that this was something I could have done.
Yeah.
And that for me is thinking about that today. And after what you've just said, Jack, kind of brings that home of kind of he did that for me, and I always go back to that moment of actually no, that made it possible, but made me realise that it was possible.
Yeah.
But having the humility to thank, shut up, mate. You know what I mean? I mean, by all means, buy the rum. I'll quite happily drink that. but don't be silly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I think. I mean, there are loads. There are loads of highlights. There are loads of things that I've been really blessed to do and gifted. You know, kind of. I got paid to watch elephants for a day in South Africa, as you do.
Wow.
I did a show where I had to play an elephant on stage. And it was co-production with Market Theatre, and we were in South Africa for a week rehearsing. And one of those days was on a safari watching elephants move.
Brilliant.
That is mint. You know, it makes up for all the days of kind of having a job on a TV gig and you sat in a trailer for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love those days because I read so much and think about that. But it's just, I'd rather be doing any of that than, worrying whether or not my car battery's gone flat.
Yeah. Oh my God. Which it probably has.
Yeah.
Having said that, blimey, those days of paying actors to watch elephants, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're not coming back.
Mate, I didn't even think those days existed.
So have I got no chance of...
Yeah, that's it.
You imagine that request going in. Yeah, I'll do it, but careful.
Yeah. You'll just get an email that says, "Here's a link to a YouTube playlist."
Yeah. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, great answers. Well done, guys. Thank you. Okay. Final question that I sent through to you, which is, and well, I guess we'll try and be brief because we've been talking about it as we've been going along anyway. But staying with you, Dermot, sort of hopes and fears for the industry as we start to go back.
Hopes that it goes back.
Yeah.
I have, and I know you know this, Lee, and it's on my Twitter. I've been thinking a lot about what I'm calling live digital, of this kind of bit in between live theatre and film. I worry that some of the streaming that's happened doesn't really hit the mark. It doesn't hit the mark as a filmmaker for me. It doesn't hit the mark as a theatre maker for me. It gives me an insight into what it might have been like to be in the room, but I'm not in the room, which means I've lost something. It doesn't quite work filmically because it wasn't meant to do that. And I think there's a divot in the middle, which is kind of working out how we can have digital stories done live to allow us to monetize it, to allow us to make it special, to allow us to make it live, to drag in some of the things that we love about theatre and some of the things we love about film, but create something new. And I've been thinking about that quite a bit. I was thinking about that quite a bit before this happened. I was working on a project with Freedom Studios, which was looking at that. But it's become really urgent. And, I can't see a 700-seater theatre being full at any point in the next 18 months with all the best will in the world. And I genuinely, desperately hope that I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. And I think we, as humans, we tell stories. Stories are what keep us going. If you think like the conversation we've had, Jack spent a lot of time watching Netflix. And I'm sure you're not alone on that, mate. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We crave stories. We crave a narrative. We crave connection. And I think this isolation period has made me realise that that's part of the reason why I tell stories. Is to connect with who I am and to connect people to each other and to connect me to those people.
Yeah.
So I think going forward, coming out of this, I think once we are able to convene in theatre spaces again, those spaces need to be democratic. They need to have voices. They need to have voices that are not just paid lip service to, but voices that are listened to and that are given the same opportunities. And I think, we're talking in the long shadow of Black Lives Matters and all of this kind of thought process and open talking that's finally happening. It needs to continue to happen, and it needs to continue to open spaces for Black artists and artists who are marginalized in various different ways and all the intersectionality within that. I'm not blind to that. But we need to make sure that theatre doesn't become homogenous. We need to make sure that as the theatres reopen, we don't go back to just doing Shakespeare. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I love Shakespeare. But, how would Shakespeare look if it was made by someone who had never seen Shakespeare? How would Shakespeare look if it was set in the wilds of Glasgow, in the wilds of Scotland, sorry. How would Shakespeare look if it was directed by a 17-year-old? Let's open those spaces up. Nothing. Theatre is great because nothing is impossible. And again, coming back to the live digital thing, that's part of the reason why, for me, it doesn't work. When you walk into a theatre space, you enter into a contract whereby you say, right, that blank stage, that black box, if we're thinking about studio theatre, this can be the surface of the moon or it could be the inside of a vein.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to allow that suspension of disbelief to happen. Mm-hmm. Film doesn't do that. There's an explosion. Oh, yeah, there's an explosion.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason for me why live digital doesn't quite work. So I kind of, when theatres open back, I think having live digital as a thing.
Yeah.
As an additional, as opposed to a coverall, a catch-all.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that it actually, the conversation goes slightly beyond that, and from the point of view of that, I think the theatres, especially the buildings, know that they have to do this now. They've been paying lip service to this idea that, we need to expand our audiences, we need to do this, right? They actually need to do it now.
Yeah.
And they have to connect to younger audiences, and they have to connect to the youth who are watching Netflix, who are doing whatever. And they've always known this. They've just never done anything about it properly. And now they have to. And I think what you're talking about with that divot in the middle is, you're absolutely spot on. That is where it has to be captured somehow. Because
a theatre cannot compete with Netflix. It can't. And do you know what? It shouldn't.
It shouldn't. Yeah.
It shouldn't be a decision to either go to the theatre and watch, I don't know, a production of Hamlet or watch Coronation Street. I should be able to do both. And ironically, Coronation Street is written along the 5 acts principle anyway, Shakespearean in its structure.
Yeah.
But I think it's rediscovering what theatre is and what it's for. And I think it's about telling stories. It's about folk tales. If you look at theatre outside of the Western canon, it's about passing stories on. Do this, don't do this, do that, try this, remember this. We're having a national debate about history, which I'm not going to go into. But stories are where history is contained. It's not contained in monoliths or bits of iron or brick or whatever it is. It's contained within stories. And stories are contained either in books or in your heart. And both of those things need to be opened. We need to open books to work out where we are, and we need to open our hearts to allow that stuff to connect.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I'm going to stop being profound.
Don't. It's brilliant.
Yeah. That's where I genuinely hope theatre and the industry, we're storytellers.
Yeah.
Your costume designer is telling a story. Your set designer is telling a story. The actors are telling a story. God, the cleaners who make sure that your dressing room's clean are telling a story. We're all part of the same thing. And I think that hierarchical structure sometimes needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
We need to be nice to invariably the bloke at the top. And we also need to be nice to invariably the woman who's cleaning your dressing room. Yeah. And I say that it's a loaded comment, come at me, but the stats are there.
Yeah, I think difficult conversations are starting to be had. From my point of view, 24. I've not been in the industry, any amount of time at all, and I don't know. I've come across times when I suppose I've just felt, that's a funny comment, or and it kind of just goes over my head. And I mean, I was brought up by my mother, and she's white, and I was never really around my black side of the family, and I suppose me just thinking, I'm locked in my house, sort of thing. Everything's gone on with the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm researching, I'm reading, I'm educating myself, and I'm kind of, when you say we kind of say a bit fearful about what the future holds, I'm excited now because this change is happening for me at the point I'm at. Because things are going to change. Because I was explaining, I explain things in my own way, and I was explaining to one of my friends that basically, a lot of things are going on in the world right now, and people are feeling like, big companies are speaking out, and because they have to change now. Because there's a line. It doesn't matter what the people at the top actually believe. They've kind of got to do it. So for me, I'm thinking, well, as time goes on, that means the next generation, it's just going to be, embedded. It's going to be no questions asked about that. As we look back at history, things have changed, and generation after generation, people are saying now, well, that was years ago. This was years ago. And yes, but with change, it becomes normality.
It's what you were saying, though, isn't it? It's about the conversations that are starting to be had now, and I've seen it in my life as I was growing up, and we were talking to my wife about it recently, and essentially what has happened, it seems to me, and I could be wrong about this, but it seems to me what has happened, it's sort of gone, well, we just won't talk about it anymore, so that will mean it will go away, it will get better, and everything will be fine. Well, that's not that isn't how it works. We've got to actually start having the conversations that actually people like, and I put myself in this category, probably white, middle-aged and older people don't want to have because they feel very uncomfortable about it. But we have to have the conversation.
Yeah. There's a really interesting word you've used there, and I saw something. I've got to be careful how I phrase this. I saw something recently that talked about making the conversation comfortable. No.
Yeah.
No, it should never be comfortable.
No,
it shouldn't be. Because when we talk about the Jewish Holocaust, it's not a comfortable conversation because it shouldn't be a comfortable conversation.
Right. Yeah.
This has to be a difficult conversation, and it has to be one that continues to happen.
Yeah.
And it has to be one where we all work out, well, where is our place in this? What can I do to make sure that this doesn't happen?
Yeah.
And, and I don't mean to sound patronizing, Jack, at all, but I feel like for me, it's part of my responsibility, my generation of black performers, to push something back so you've got somewhere to walk into in the same way that Ruby Walker did for us.
100%.
And you've got that same responsibility for those younger performers and artists who don't even know they're performers or artists yet.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's going to take. It's not going to be a one fix. It's not going to be, turn on a light and it's sorted. It's gradual change, and the conversations that need to happen, some of them are happening, some of them are not, and I fear that some of them will just disappear.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for all of us to keep that pressure on.
I hope they don't, because it feels like that's what feels different to me at the moment, is that those conversations are starting to happen where they haven't happened before. And you're absolutely right about the fact that it has to be uncomfortable. It has to. And this is, this where this whole thing with, the statues and people protecting statues and stuff. It's like, what are you doing? It's not about the statue. It's
even within that, the education principle is, I spend a lot of time around the country, and I've got mates all over the place and a family all over the place. And Bristol is somewhere that I absolutely adore. Mm-hmm. And what wasn't thrown out at the time when that man was thrown into the water, Bristol have been talking about that for 20 years or more, 25 years or more. They were talking about it. They were trying to do something about it democratically.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, and not one fist was thrown when the statue went in the water.
No.
Not one fist was thrown. It was celebratory even.
Yeah. It was absolutely celebratory.
But there's also the amount of people who complained about that statue going into the water probably didn't know who he was. A lot of people that I've spoken to had never seen it in Bristol. And a lot of people that I've spoken to, and the media in general, didn't massively report the fact that Bristol have been trying.
I lived there for a short time, early 2000s, and there were conversations about it then.
Yeah,
I remember those conversations happening.
I think when you say about the media as well, you know, my mother's early 60s, and I was in a conversation with her the other day, and she was saying to me, her viewpoint, you know, and she's not, let's just say how it is, she's not someone who, you know, thinks a certain way, because obviously I'm her son, and the word she uses, I just don't understand why they're protesting. What are they? What you know? What's everyone trying to get? And I then had the conversation that with everyone's, the amount of people that are coming together to agree, you know, worldwide, it will create a change. And I think from my point of view, I look back on, you know, my short period of life and you know. And I'm thinking, should that kind of thing have always been a thing at that point? I wrote something on social media, and I had one of my close friends ring me and ask me, am I okay? Am I okay? And I was like, what do you mean, am I okay? I'm fine. No, it was just what you put. And I said, well, no, I'm fine, yeah. And they weren't ringing to, you know, they weren't ringing to say to me, am I okay? Am I moved by what's going on? They were actually asking me, are you okay? Why are you kind of speaking out like this?
Wow.
And this isn't by no way, let's just say how it is, this is no one who's racist at all, but they genuinely just couldn't understand. And after that hour and a half, you know, long conversation, and this was after the conversation that I had, you know, when I was in the garden at my sister's, and we were all having this big talk, and I was about an hour there, and this conversation on the phone lasted another hour and a half. And they just said to me, I got a text after saying, you know, love you, bro, and I now understand. I now understand where you're coming from. I now understand where my point of view was coming from, whether it's I'm younger and, you know, I was in certain situations and I did feel myself. I felt myself sometimes saying the black joke, let's just say it, or before someone else would. I found that. And this would have had so many years, and then I went through a kind of phase. And I think before lockdown, before reading up and just sitting back and thinking, do I want my kids to have to be in that situation? No. There should be no situation like that. Everyone is equal, and right now things aren't that way. So we need to make a change.
Absolutely.
Yes, we could talk about this all night, and I appreciate the fact that we have, because it's important, and we will carry on having these conversations. You were saying about educating yourself. The other thing I was going to say, just on that from my perspective, and I said this a couple of weeks ago. I will, because of where the position that I sit, I will never understand. But I will absolutely, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, I will absolutely do my best to educate myself as much as I can, and to educate my children so that they understand, because that's the only way it will change. Yeah. And when they say something because they've heard it in the playground or whatever, which happens, you know, I will sit them down and I'll show them a video, and I'll do what I can, and I think that's all I can do, and carry on trying to allow the conversations to happen.
It's about asking yourself those questions. It's about thinking about, you know, we've heard the word privilege bandied around a lot recently, and rightly so. And we all have privileges. And we all have unconscious biases, and we all think in certain ways because of the culture in which we are brought up in. But we need to really start thinking about that as a structural thing, as opposed to it just is. Because it just is doesn't have to be. Because it just is means that women don't have the vote. You know, it just is means that unless your father was an aristocrat, you can't own a house.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It just is the reason why, bloody hell, a footballer is campaigning to feed 1.4 billion children.
Yeah.
It just is should not be that. And, you know, props to Rashford. What are we calling him now? Daniel Rashford, are we calling him now?
Yeah.
What? You
you're right,
cannot
you
make a
think-
mistake like that, can you?
But but we come to a point in our country where we kind of go, business. To quote an American politician, Shirley Chisholm, business as usual politics should not be there anymore.
Yeah.
And we're all complicit, and we all need to think and talk and do.
Yeah. Having said that, we have got an aeroplane that needs painting up as a Union Jack. So let's
For
make
£1
sure
million.
let's make sure that happens.
What's that?
Have you not? You've not.
I've not seen much news since. This
Okay.
State
So,
visits from
so-
Prime Minister when he goes around the world. The military plane is going to be painted in a Union flag at a cost of £900,000.
Well,
And
just
this
in
is,
case.
I would say, this is the day after they've done the U-turn on feeding children. They've announced this.
900 grand.
Yeah.
What are they painting it with?
I've said it, I'll do it for 100 grand.
Mate,
Yeah.
get that to you. You're down there enough, right? Get the flag ends of gloss. Get that going.
Absolutely.
Bit of
Absolutely.
varnish.
I'll do it for him. No problem at all. So there we go.
Jeez.
But fair play to Daniel Radcliffe or whoever.
He blamed it on Harry Potter. What the? Come on.
Mental, innit?
Is that what he said? He blamed it on
Yeah, his kid,
Hold on,
because his
hold on.
kid's into that Harry Potter series and has been watching it recently and reading or something. Like,
To be fair, that's better than, I don't know, mixing up Samuel L. Jackson with the other black actor, which happened.
Yeah. Fair.
I guess it's better than saying, "Oh yeah, well done to Sancho. He's done really well there, isn't he?"
Oh no, could you imagine?
I could actually, which is the worrying.
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay, look, time is cracking on, gentlemen. So very last question to both of you.
Yep.
But I think, Dermot, you've already answered it, to be honest, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's been your vice during lockdown?
My vice:
Yeah.
thinking, drinking, reading.
Okay, that could have gone anywhere at the end.
Normally in that order, actually. Thinking, drinking. No, yeah, sod it. Yeah, let's go in that order.
Thinking, drinking, reading. I haven't done enough reading.
That needs to be on more living room walls in that live, laugh, love
Thinking,
font.
drinking, reading.
Thinking, drinking, reading.
drinking,
That
reading.
needs to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Jack, what's your vice?
As of lockdown, drinking. You were saying about crates before. I've never ever, I've got my crates and I'm going out and it's got things like that, but I've never had a crate in the fridge, and that is now a thing. So I think that if I've hit a mature point or an adult point, lockdown has given me that.
You've got
Stella,
you've got
are
adult
there any
XP.
in the fridge? No, I'll put it in the freezer for a bit. We'll give it, So a lot of drinking, and I suppose I've had a stalling point. And there's been a lot of thoughts, a lot of education. Surprisingly to me, because I suppose let's not lie. There's been 50% of it has been gaming. I'll put that there. I'll put it out there. I won't lie to you. But the other 2 quarters, drinking and education.
Yeah, okay.
It's a good
fair.
mix. It's a good
And
mix.
Have you put any weight on, Jack?
Well, no.
Because you're a proper gym
So
lad, aren't you?
I won't go on. But I was, it was 5-6 times a week, eating well. Have a part-time job also at a hotel.
You've been doing a bit of modelling as well during lockdown, haven't you?
That was at the start, Basic. What I'll say to you is, first couple of weeks training, 3 weeks not moving, and I used to have this. I used to count the steps, on the Heart app on my iPhone when I was at the day job, and it was like 20,000 steps. Wow. Gym. I'm being serious. Gym. And I was kind of still eating well, but then I'd have, the odd thing. And just because one thing I've learned is where the beer belly term comes from, because alcohol, it is
amazing.
Amazing, and a killer for the bod.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been back training a few weeks now. I'm feeling better, and it's kind of there is an end. There is the end, like, oh my god, let's start thinking about how I'm gonna look if the jobs start to come in, from my point of view. And
I've been thinking about that as well. Yeah.
You're beautiful, Lee. Now that is coming from me. I have seen Lee in female underwear. Up
Mate.
close.
Let's just
Well,
Up close.
you invited me on.
Let's not give any context and leave it at that, shall we?
What the hell is this?
I was in gold boxes as well. And
Whoa.
What's this?
This is the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
And I'll
is
ask
what
one
this
more
is.
time. Did you touch my bottom?
I did numerous times, and I tell you what, and I'd do it again. God damn it!
Hopefully we do.
Absolutely, hopefully we do. Yeah.
I'm going to have to talk to my agent after this.
It's not all work, you know.
Oh,
Fair enough. Listen, gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yep.
You've wrapped up my my Wednesday. It is Wednesday, isn't it? My
Yeah.
Wednesday evening. It's lovely to see you both. By all means, stay on. We're going to wrap the show up. But if you need to get off, you need to go for a wee or whatever, go for it, because I am dying for the toilet. But you can log off if you wish. Stay on. We can have a chat. It's entirely up to you. Either way, much love to both of you. Stay safe, stay well, and speak soon.
Thank you both.
Pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Okay, guys.
Thanks, guys.
thanks for having us.
Very good, Mike.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah, I was serious at the beginning of the week. I was having a big wobble because of this thing with YouTube, and the two shows this week, especially tonight, has reinvigorated me.
Yeah, I love it when you listen to somebody who A, knows what they're talking about, and B, is really passionate about it, and has an idea of what to do with it, with those things, and it is inspiring. Absolutely to kind of. I just wanted to follow and just do everything. Great. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Okay. Look, we've got two cracking shows next week as well. On Monday we have musicians Ed Heaton and Rick Huxley coming on. That's on Monday. So very much looking forward to catching up with Ed and Rich.
Do you want to try that one again?
Yes. Why?
Because you were just like.
Oh, really? Am I all over the place?
Yeah.
Two cracking shows lined up next week. We have on Monday, we have musicians Ed Heaton and Rick Huxley coming on. Rich, I'm getting it all wrong. Rich, if you're watching, I'm so sorry. He's thrown me. I got it all right the first time. Ed Heaton and Rich Huxley coming on. Both musicians, producers, been around sort of the Leeds circuit for quite a while, and the rest of the country as well. So very much looking forward to catching up with them. And then on Wednesday we have I'll talk about Wednesday. On Monday, let's just deal with Monday.
Okay, yeah. So thanks for watching. Whether you've been on Twitch or YouTube or Periscope, don't forget to like and subscribe, to comment, to find us on Twitter. Check out our new things. I'd never mentioned this, but I've done something which has really impressed myself with.
What, are you allowed to say it on air? We're going to get jumped off.
So
okay.
My Twitter that I've had since Twitter inception.
Oh
for
yeah,
donkey's
tell me
years.
about this shadow shit that you were talking about.
So over say the last year or so, I've noticed my reach on Twitter has been going down. So my engagement with people, kind of replying to stuff. It just seems I felt like I was talking to myself. And then I noticed a particular favourite television historian had blocked me. And I was like, I've never really interacted with this person very much, apart from the occasional kind of really enjoyed that or, that kind of thing. Nothing at all. And I was like, why am I blocked? And so a little bit of research, I am on a block list.
Why?
So I don't know. Perhaps it's because I'm quite a staunch socialist and quite tend to rant a lot on Twitter.
Okay.
It's become my place to tell everybody to burn the system down and rebuild it. So, and I think
that why we've been blocked on YouTube as well? Is it you?
No, can't be.
Okay.
It's not that. But so I was like, that's interesting. And the more I kind of looked into it, and the more I kind of, I was still kind of tweeting out stuff and just watching the there's a way you can see how much your reach is getting, and not only was it getting to like 4 people, but occasionally I wouldn't even get the data. So I was like, okay, I need to start a new account, but I really like my handle. I really like Mike Makes Films. I think it's a really, really good one. So I've managed to keep that on a separate new account. So I still have my original 12-year-old account, but it's now Mike Makes Films 1. And then the new account is Mike Makes Films. But the real shitter of it is that when you're a brand new account, your ability to follow people is we can hear what's going on with Jack.
I don't know. He's having a chat.
Yeah, I think that's
your ability to follow people.
So your ability is limited. So like I have like 59 followers in the last 24 hours, and I basically went through my followers, the people who I was following, and I went through and picked a load of people, and it just went, you're limited, and I'm like, what? And so I'm now going to wait for more people to follow me before I can, and there's loads of people on there who I really want to follow.
Fair enough.
So, but yeah, so hopefully this will sidestep the shadow ban and my reach. I mean, my reach is already like double my followers, which is, I was getting not even 1% of my followers on my original account. So
we'll have to have a chat about this later, and I'll have to check mine out as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've just wasted about 5 minutes talking about inane nonsense, really.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll put it out in the edit.
Yeah.
Can we sign off? I really need a wee.
Yeah, let's just do it. I'll just roll the credits. Just be really, really unprofessional and just go bye.
Thanks for coming on.